Well, 20 years ago, politicians in Mexico hoped that NAFTA would pull the country into the developed world. But the impact on agriculture has been wide-ranging and not always so positive, especially for small-scale farmers. John Holman joins us now from Mexico City with his report. John.
Thanks, Michelle. Well, yes, as Christian mentioned a little bit earlier, whenever these three leaders from the US, Canada and Mexico get together, they call it the meeting of the three amigos. But of course, the relationship between the countries is a lot more complicated than that. And the agreement that they signed 20 years ago, NAFTA, still causes many Mexicans, especially those living in rural areas, to question exactly what they've gained from the relationship, as you'll see in our report.
The last corn from the harvest. As usual, Gilberto Torrejan has grown just enough to feed his family and sell to his neighbors. These golden plants were once the mainstay of Mexican agriculture. But in recent years, local farmers have struggled to find a market for their crop.
NAFTA gave the U.S. the opportunity to bring their corn to Mexico, and that's hit the price here. Those who try to sell are paid very low prices.
In 1994, Mexico, Canada, and the U.S. opened up their borders to free trade in an unprecedented agreement known as NAFTA. Its impact has been wide-ranging. In the Mexican countryside, it's pitted small-scale farmers like Gilberto, still using rudimentary methods, against US and Canadian counterparts harnessing more advanced technology to produce cheaper goods. Many young people have abandoned Gilberto's village, heading north across the border for the opportunities that they just couldn't find here. Since NAFTA came into play 20 years ago, migration from rural Mexico to the US has increased dramatically.
From
1994 till now, migration increased by 30%, not just to the U.S., but globally. If NAFTA was beneficial, that migration would have stopped and the U.S. wouldn't have had to build a wall on the border with Mexico and send troops.
For some in the agricultural sector, NAFTA has been beneficial. Tomato and avocado growers have profited from demand for their products in the U.S. Larger scale Mexican farms have also managed the transition. Their resources mean they are better able to compete with their northern counterparts. The Mexican government has focused its efforts on them, rather than the small-scale farmers who make up the majority of the rural population.
We've arrived at a situation where 70% of the subsidies go to 30% of the agricultural sector, who are medium and large-scale producers. Just 30% of the subsidies go to 70% of the sector, who are small-scale farmers.
As the government backs those it sees as better equipped to succeed, small-scale farmers like Gilberto continue to grind out a living, with little hope of anything more than survival.
So, John, is this summit going to be used by Mexican officials to try and renegotiate some of the terms of NAFTA, particularly with regards to agriculture?
Well, the simple answer to that is no, they're not. Mexican officials have said that now they're thinking about the next trade agreement, which would be between 12 countries around the Pacific Ocean. And they've said that they want to use NAFTA as a platform for that. So rather than negotiating, they're moving forward with the next stage. And basically, there's some sections of the Mexican population that will be quite happy with that. Some of those leaders of industrial sectors, corporate farms who have fared fairly well in NAFTA will be happy with those developments. Small-scale farmers, on the other hand, can only hope that the Mexican government doesn't forget about them, that it continues offering help and agricultural programs to somehow keep them on their feet.